Good evening, everyone. It's been an evening already. Can I please have a motion and a second to reconvene the public meeting?
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence for our servicemen and women? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Will the district clerk please call the roll?
Marisol Mallon, President.
Here.
April Natelli, Vice President.
Here.
Jacqueline DiLorenzo, Trustee.
Present.
Sab Parisi, Trustee. Here. Melissa Torregrossa, Trustee. Michael Abraham, Student Board Member.
Here.
Dr. Joseph Senamore, Superintendent.
Present.
Robert Hauser, Assistant Sup for Business and Operations.
Present.
Christina Poppy, Assistant Sup for Curriculum and Instruction.
Present.
Anthony Fasano, District Attorney. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I please have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the November 13, 2025 and the November 18, 2025 meeting?
Motion. Second.
All in favor? Aye. So tonight we have a very special recognition. I will let Dr. Senamore speak more about her. Dr. Senamore.
Well, thank you, Ms. Mallon, and I'm going to invite our principal from Oakdale Bohemian Middle School, Mr. Piambo, to come to the podium and turn on the microphone, because he is going to give us a little bit of the background as we honor one of our very special and outstanding educators over at Oakdale Bohemian Middle School, who was a good Samaritan and helped a student in need, and we're going to hear all about it right now as we recognize her.
Good evening, everybody. That's a good afternoon, so I'm used to doing this during the day. I apologize. Tonight, I'm honored to be here. I have a very unique sort of recognition to give out. Miss Johnson is a teacher in my building, as we all know. If you don't know her, I've been working with her now on 20 years. And do you want to come up, or do you want to stay there while I talk about you?
Go up, do it.
But the reason why, Miss Johnson has been an invaluable asset to OBMS in the course of 20 years. She has done so many things. She's worn so many different hats in the building, from working with student council to just being always a center of positivity in the building. Always someone I can count on, the building can count on to be there when they need them. And one thing about middle school is you never know what's going to happen during the school day. And, there's the average normal things that we deal with every day, and sometimes there's the extra stuff that you don't really count on. And during lunch it was the day before Thanksgiving break, actually. Miss Johnson's outside. We're having outdoor recess, braving the cold, so thank you for that, because, I wouldn't be out there personally. And a student comes right up to her. She was choking. And immediately, Miss Johnson sprung into action, gave her the Heimlich maneuver, cleared her throat, and because of her calm demeanor, as she presented, had kept herself calm and just leapt right into action. The student wasn't hurt in any way. In fact, she was able to kind of just, walk to the nurse's office and be checked out, but no injuries whatsoever. And I'm just proud to work with you. I'm honored to work with you. I think that, situations like this, you never know how you're going to react. And it was amazing. I had to watch it for myself on the camera. She's like, I was freaked out. I'm like, no, not at all. So, on behalf of myself, the school, the district, the Board of Education, the whole community, I want to thank you, Sharon. Miss Johnson, sorry. You've worn many hats. You've had many titles. We're adding hero to that now.
No, that's all right.
Well, just take it. You deserve it. You really do. I'm proud to have you as a member of our school community, so thank you. And I want to present this award to you.
Thank you very much.
Much deserved.
Put it on my wall.
Congratulations again. We're so appreciative of you. That's great.
That's awesome. Can I please have a motion and a second to suspend the business meeting and convene the public hearing on sections 467 and 459-C of the New York State Property Tax Law, tax exemption for senior citizens and persons with disability and limited income?
Motion. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Mr. Hauser will conduct a brief presentation for us.
Sure. Good evening. At the last meeting, I did the same presentation. However, tonight is more of a formal public hearing for two separate exemptions. One is for the low-income senior citizen, and the second exemption would be for the low-income disabled persons. On the agenda, there's two lines, actually, a public hearing for each one. To keep it simple, I'm just going to combine both of those into one public hearing. And then when I finish, the next part will be for public comments, if anyone has a comment about this. So once again, these are the two exemptions that I have up here on the screen. All right, low-income senior citizen and low-income disabled persons. All right. Right now, the district is at the maximum income eligibility limit of $29,000 for a 50% exemption on the school taxes only, with a sliding scale of a smaller exemption up to the income limit of $37,400. We are proposing to keep the district in line with both the town and the county of Suffolk, and to raise that maximum income limit to $50,000 for a 50% exemption, and then all the way up to $58,400 with the sliding scale. This is some information that has been provided to us by the Town of Islip Assessor's Office, and without getting too much into the detail of what's actually in the wording, if we just go down to the bottom, the town was able to break out that by moving the maximum income up to the 50% for the 50,000 for the 50%. All right, the AV. So I'm looking at the column in yellow. That's the assessed valuation. The shift. All right, would be shifting $5,330,523 for the senior citizen, which would also be the equivalent of an additional 328 residential parcels. And then the same for the disability exemption, going all the way over to yellow. It's a much smaller shift of 161,941 in assessed value, or 9 residences. Okay. The following screen here shows what the, I'll say, the remaining taxpayers in the Connecticut community would have to absorb if we make this shift up to the higher income. So if we go all the way over to the pink column, that's the school tax difference, okay? By adopting these new exemption limits, $1,157,649.96 in school tax in the levy would be shifted away from these lower income senior citizens, lower income disabled persons, to the remaining community. And I carried this down a little further so that in increments of $10,000, and for example, for someone in the community who's not a low-income disabled person or is not a low-income senior citizen, if their home were to be assessed at $10,000, and they would have to actually look at their real estate tax bill to see what their assessed value is. If you carry that all the way over to the right, it would be an additional $16.88 per year for that particular homeowner. Okay, and then I brought it down in increments of 10,000, so up to 20, 30, 40, and 50. So at the higher end, at the very bottom of the screen, someone with a home that's assessed at $50,000, all the way over to the right in pink, they would be they would see an increase of $84, and this is approximate, $84.40 increase in their school taxes, okay? So that's really the summary here in terms of the public hearing, is just showing what the intention is of shifting the income limit and what that what the effect is on the remaining taxpayers in the community. Okay. Any questions from the board? Okay, I think at this point then we can open it up to the public comment. I believe we have one resident who would like to speak.
Yes. So I will now open the floor for the first open public comment portion of the public hearing. I will call individuals forward one at a time. Please wait for my acknowledgement before stepping to the podium. You should receive a number card from security on your way in. If you have not, please see a security guard in the back of the room. Any person wishing to address the board shall address the board president. Comments shall be kept as brief as possible and relate to school matters only. Each person will be limited to 3 minutes for one or more topic. Individual employees, parents, or children should not be identified by name, title, position, grade, or building. Use of foul language and threatening comments will not be tolerated, and the board will consider a recess until order is restored. In accordance with Policy 1230, public comment will not exceed 30 minutes. If there are additional persons wishing to speak, the board may consider a motion to extend the time. So this is for the public hearing only. Number one.
Thank you. Tonight, we have an opportunity to help 328 low-income seniors in 9 disabled households in our local community. We are now able to make this decision knowing all the facts. Increasing the level to the New York State county and town levels will have a major impact on our most vulnerable neighbors. The positive side of this, if passed, it'll have a minimal impact on the rest of the district. In these difficult times, can anyone imagine making ends meet with a total income of less than $50K? When I sat down with everybody on the board, I gave each person a green binder with all the merits of this program. One of the tabs was a case study regarding a neighbor and to why we need to adopt new higher levels and join our neighboring school districts. My block on Oak Avenue has 23 homes. However, 2 of them are low-cost senior households that qualify for this program. These are people that spent their lives playing by the rules. Both husbands and wives worked and raised families. My neighbor in the case study lost his wife, as well as her Social Security. His total income, after all taxes are taken out, is $21K. If we don't increase this level tonight, he is still unable to receive a school tax decrease. If you had a hard time imagining making ends meet at 50, could you imagine what he's going through? I can only imagine that the other 337 neighbors all have similar stories and are trying to navigate through tough economic times that we're all facing. The decision tonight by you can be the biggest tax break these people have ever received, with the average household receiving $3,500. That's huge for these people. We have an excellent opportunity to make a big difference. New York State passed a law increasing real estate tax property relief for seniors over 65. Although we missed the first 4 years, tonight we can lend a helping hand to those who truly deserve it. Martin Luther King had a saying, "The time is always right to do what's right." Let's make tonight the right time. Thank you.
Thank you. And I want to thank you also for taking the time to have met with each of us, either individually or in a group, and present us with such valuable information. Thank you.
Yes, Steve, thank you so much for everything.
It's on the consent agenda for a vote.
Sorry, can you pull that as a separate vote so we have it
Sure.
just on record? Also, the items we discussed in executive session, is that going up? Does that have to be pulled for a separate vote? Or is that a consensus? I
That is
wasn't sure.
not on the consent agenda.
That's what I was asking, consensus? Gotcha, okay.
Is there anybody else that would like to speak to the public hearing? Okay. Can I please have a motion and a second to suspend the public hearing and reconvene the business meeting?
Motion?
Second.
All in favor? Mr. Allen, I see you have a presentation for the board on the bond facilities and electrification study. Be as robust as you need.
I think the numbers will speak to how robust it is. So last February, I was able to present at the Board of Education and discuss a couple of opportunities we had because we had realized some savings on many of the projects that we had embarked on as part of the 22 project. The two things that I spoke about in particular last year was the scope of work for the pool renovations. As everybody may recall, we had a lot of structural issues with the pool. We also found some issues with the plumbing and everything as well. The board agreed to move forward with that, so that work was completed. In addition, we also added air conditioning instead of just heating to the gymnasium and the weight room at the high school. That work is in process right now. The hope is that by mid-December, we're going to get the equipment. I should say in the next week or so, we should be getting the equipment. They're already up there putting the ductwork in place. So this spring, when we start dealing with testing in the small gymnasium, we will be able to air condition it. So now that we've done those projects and we've awarded and or started the work for the rest of the work associated with the 22 project, we've been able to reassess the savings that we've been able to achieve. Right now, based on current allocations for the project, we have $5.9 million remaining in the 2022 project. There's a couple of things that have come up over the years. Some things that we were talking about, including back in the origination of this bond, that we weren't sure if we were going to have money for. So I'm bringing them forward now again to discuss and make determinations whether or not we want to start moving forward with it, so I can work with the architect, develop plans, get them to the state, and get them implemented as quick as possible. One of the things would be the upper turf replacement. It is 11 years of age at this point, so in the coming years it will be becoming a financial concern. It is something that we have the money and the resources to do. It was part of the narrative as part of the 22 project. It talks about field refurbishments, so we would be able to move forward with this work and get state aid on it. Similarly, I don't know if everybody recalls, but within the department, we as a department took the initiative to start adding air conditioning in all of the cafeterias. The nice thing about it is we were able to do it in-house. We did it at a tremendous savings. The problem we run into internally is idle hour. Idle hour, it's part of their cafeteria. So the smaller units that we have the capacity to install and do ourselves doesn't apply for idle hour. We would have to go with rooftop equipment, which means steel and dunnage, insulated ductwork, controls a whole lot more work and more involved. So I'm recommending that we do that as well to keep that building in line with all of the other buildings throughout the district. Some of the other projects that came up during the project development were air conditioning in the middle school gymnasiums. We have an estimate for 1.1 to do each of those projects, each of the middle schools. Where that would leave us is the gymnasiums in the elementary schools. Those would be the only large spaces district-wide that would not be done, but it would give the middle schools an opportunity to be air conditioned if we were to go forward with that. The idle hour boilers, I've been in the district now for going on 11 years. For the third time in the past 11 years, we have to repair the idle hour boilers. We just opened up another insurance claim in the last couple of weeks because another cracked section presented itself. So we are down to one working boiler. We're in the process of working with the contractor and insurance to fix it, but they are 23-year-old boilers and they are becoming more and more problematic. So in order to replace those, we're looking at $950,000. We have two other projects. We have an acid waste tank system at the high school. There's actually two separate systems at the high school. One of them, which was augmented back in 2012, that the Department of Health has said is not in compliance. It's going to take a substantial amount of money. If we were able to do it out of capital instead of doing it out of general fund, I think it will help the general fund tremendously. It is an opportunity that we have to do it out of capital. And then district office HVAC. Anybody who's in this building understands the nuances with it. It's either too hot, it's too cold. We work with a system with a heating tower outside. That heating tower is it's a source of a tremendous amount of testing. I'm not sure if everybody recalls all the challenges in New York City with Legionella's disease a few years ago. For cooling towers, we're going through $20,000 to $30,000 a year just in maintenance and testing to keep that system in this building operational. So it would require redoing the HVAC system in this building. Now, the last two items that you see there, the $200,000 for the acid waste tank and the 1.4 for the district office, because they are not part of a scope of work that was approved back in 2022, they would not be aidable unless we went out to the community for a vote. What I propose, though, because the district office is not aidable regardless, central office is not an aidable building as far as the state is concerned, I would suggest we use dollars that's available from the 2017-18 transfer to capital as a starting point. We've gotten direction from the auditors that we should be using this money. Because it's not going to be something we can get aid on it, addressing or at least taking on a large portion of the expense associated with the district office HVAC makes it a little bit more palatable. So I don't know if we want to start talking about the capital, if there's any questions about those particular projects or the order of priority, or if we want to just hold off and wait. I will say that if we do decide to do anything, I'm fairly confident that I can work with the architect, get plans developed, get it up to the state, approved, and hopefully begin work as early as this summer. So
you had said that we have from the 2020 bond 5.9 million, and your total 6.1, and then you said we have 1 million from the 2027.
correct.
My first question is, if we do not use the bond money, what happens? This is for the public.
Yeah, so when you do a capital project, you have 10 years, up to 10 years to use it. If we don't go forward with those expenditures, I would work with the business office, and we likely wouldn't be borrowing those monies, so it would just be sitting as a opportunity for the future. Is that a fair assessment, Bob?
Or towards debt payment, if we wanted to.
If we borrowed it, yeah. Yep, understood.
So I just want to make it clear. So if we didn't use it in the 10-year period, we would work to give it back to the debt so that it would pay off that amount.
Or we wouldn't borrow the amount of money. It's one or the other, correct?
Okay.
Yep.
So I love all of these improvements that are on here. You know how I feel about the AC in the gyms. Do you know what I'm going to bring up next? So this is just for future and to possibly think about for perhaps getting grants and or funds. But we have Hall of Fame wrestling coaches. We have an amazing wrestling team. We need a bigger wrestling room. So if there is a way that we can look and try to develop a capital project to expand, probably the only way to do it is to expand the building, to create a bigger wrestling room. But just something to keep on the forefront, something to think about, something for the future, that would be great.
Yeah, and we are constantly looking at the debt service. One of the things that we've been fortunate about being able to do over the last 10 years is we haven't needed to assume more debt until old debt was retiring. The challenge we have right now is we do not have debt retiring in the near future. So I believe, Bob, do you remember? I'm sorry.
I think 2037?
No, 32,
32 earlier.
I think it was 32, 33 is the next time we have debt service retiring, which would be an opportunity to add back the debt service because there's not as much impact to the taxpayer at that point. So
I just wanted to throw it out there because I've been talking about Gym AC for at least 4 or 5 years since I can remember.
Absolutely.
Mr. Ibrahim, did you want to say something about the wrestling rooms? I saw that.
Yeah, I did a couple of years at the high school in wrestling, and it's great. The coach is very adamant on if you work hard, you won't make any cuts. So everybody that wants to and everybody that's willing to work hard is able to participate, which I think is great because I know for me personally, wrestling did a lot of great character building. But it's like 80 guys in the room all hitting into each other, and it's yeah. I don't particularly know about the budgets or the debt, but if there's the opportunity, I definitely agree.
So to that point, I think what should probably happen is, in the coming months, we may want to talk about restarting the facility committee, capital facility, so we can look at, we're going to have the building condition survey from the architect at the end of the year, at the end of this calendar year, so we can start looking at that. I mean, there are definitely some items that deserve attention or at least deserve consideration, and if we discuss them, we can make that determination, one, whether or not the cost is appropriate at this time, or just to be aware of it for the future as opportunities present themselves.
Sure, thank you.
So John, before you, Ms. Down, before we get into the next piece of the presentation, what exactly do you need from the board right now with these recommended projects?
Well, I mean, if everybody's agreeing to these projects, what I would recommend, what I would suggest is to give me the authority to work with the architect to start developing a scope of work. I would not go forward with all of them right away because I need to make sure that I can get through each one of them. As we get down to the lower in the list, I want to make sure that I still, while I have confidence in the estimates, I would award the first one, the second one, the third one, before we get down to the seventh, because obviously we can't overexpend what's available. I just want to make sure that we take it in an order of priority that makes sense. My order of priority may not be the same as everybody else's. And it may not be something that the board wants to make a decision on. But the sooner I have direction, the sooner I can engage the architect and start the SCD process.
All right, I have one more question, John.
Sure.
In the order you have them 1 to 7, is that how you feel they should be prioritized?
I do.
So I just want to make sure that the last two numbers, shouldn't say this, 6, 7.
Yep.
I tell you, when I do that in front of kids, they all start screaming. It's hysterical. Apparently 4-1 is something too. But those last two are the ones that you said we would have to transfer from the 17-18. And you mentioned something about 10 years. So if we didn't use that by 27, 28, am I understanding? I want to make sure I understand.
No, you're
then
correct.
we can't use it. And the other option, if we didn't use that, is to actually go out to community and have them vote to, so, okay.
So transfer to capital is also a little bit more unique. I've learned something from this district. We had funds back in 13-14 that were still sitting in limbo, and the architect said, go forward and you can go ahead and use those. So that is a little bit different than a bond issuance where the voters, the community is voting on it, as opposed to transfer, which is voted on annually as part of the budget. Yeah.
So is the board good with giving Mr. Allen and Facilities the green light to begin to go through those projects?
I mean, I'm good.
Yes.
I'm good.
Me too.
Thank you very much. So what I'll do is I'll reach out to the architect tomorrow. We'll start the conversations, and as we move forward with this process and everything else, I will provide updates as to the timeline and revisions of any kind of cost that might need to happen so that everybody's aware of where we're at. Thank you very much. So the last slide, we've been talking a lot about capital for sure, and it's obviously one of the largest pieces of my responsibility here. The state, in their infinite wisdom, has decided to create an electrical that's supposed to go into effect as of 2027, with full implementation by 2035. As everybody knows, we have a very, very robust transportation fleet, and with it comes a whole lot of challenges that most school districts throughout Long Island and the state don't really have to be faced with. As we've been going through the process and talking about it and trying to digest all the different variables from PSE&G to fire departments and safety and everything else, we're learning tremendous amount, but we're also realizing how little we know when it comes to this massive of an undertaking. So one of the opportunities is to do what is known as an electrification study. An electrification study uses the experts, people that have developed these systems in the past, the people that have know the specifications of the buses, where the technology is going, what's coming, what may not be coming. They can do route help, they can help us with the routes and all the other things. So I've listed 5 separate things, that are part of what an electrification study could help us with. 1, financial assistance. It's hard to imagine how a district like this with 120 buses is going to be able to overcome this hurdle. It's going to take a tremendous amount of planning from a financial, from an infrastructure perspective. And if there are other vendors out there that have experience with this and they can help us financially, it is a tremendous opportunity to capitalize on what other people know. To that point, the district was fortunate a couple of weeks ago to receive a very, very sizable check for a solar rebate for the high school system. That's not something that I was aware of at all. As deep as I get into the stuff with this, that was an outside vendor who came forward with Johnson Controls, the person who did the energy performance contract, and they said, we think we have an opportunity at no cost to the district. Allow us to do it. We will build the, we're not going to build the district at all. As a result, we were able to benefit from $1.9 million in unanticipated revenue, which I hate saying it, I never would have found it. I never would have known about it. So I think these type of experts who are working in dozens and dozens of other districts, they have the ability to bring that forward to us, give us an opportunity to fully understand what we're getting into financially and ways that we might be able to benefit from their experiences. Yep.
Sorry, I'm confused. How did that become revenue for us? I am always leery of,
We got
this
the check.
doesn't cost us anything.
It didn't cost us anything. We already got the check. So
For what?
What ended up happening was the federal government developed a solar rebate program. The only program in our district that qualified for it was the high school. Based upon the size of the high school and the output that it generates, we were able to submit into this federal program, and we received a check for $1.9 million.
Sorry, you mean for those things that are over the...
Correct. So, that is something that the outside specialists who are working in multiple districts who have the pulse, specifically on this field, were able to bring to us. And it took a few days worth of gathering of information, but at the end of the day, they did all the work and they did it at no cost to the district.
So, John,
Where did that money go?
Into the bank.
Well, I didn't think it was in your top drawer.
No, it was unanticipated, as John said. So at the end of the school year, this current school year, it will more than likely go to the fund balance as a surplus, but it's literally in the bank.
So, John, going back to this study, I understand you're trying to use the solar as a reference. This study will cost the district money. So
This does, yes.
right, and a large amount of money. So I just want to understand, you have a list of 5 things you talked about, explore financial assistance. What exactly does that mean, explore financial assistance? Are you going to use this study to find out who could help us, a grant or something like that? I'm trying to understand what you mean by that.
One of the things that's happening as more districts are doing this, and NYSERDA is a New York State agency that's leading this electrification reimbursement process and everything else. Yes, this study, as we've learned to this point and have digested, does have a cost to the district, hands down. But they're also bringing a level of expertise that we don't possess. We don't have that depth of knowledge. I do know that we're exploring as many options as we possibly can, but this electrification study, as defined by the scope of work, which I believe was sent out to the board last week, is an extensive scope of work.
Right, so just to be clear though, this electrification study costs what, $125,000?
I believe the number was actually higher than that, but our district's share, which would be 25% of the total, I think was 38.
Right, so we'd have to pay $38,000 for
Correct.
this study, and you don't feel any of this could be done in-house? Just from my perspective, $38,000 is a lot of money for a study which actually costs more. And where's the other money coming from?
So before, I had asked about this to Bob a few months, Mr. Hauser, a few months ago because I saw it online. Having this study done, like they already have said, because I looked it up to confirm, just by having this plan, we get an extra 30,000 per bus on charging vouchers, and it increases the amount of vouchers we're allowed to request by having a fleet electrification plan that exists. So like there's later down the line too, just by having the plan, it makes us eligible for more money towards this and more availability of these vouchers. It literally increases it 30,000 per bus.
So they wrote on here, information may assist. Do you know that for sure? Just, I mean,
Yeah.
Well, and, this,
Okay.
and when I put may assist, this is pertaining to the waiver. So the state mandate, as it exists right now, is beginning implementation we're no longer able to purchase fossil fuel buses as of 27. There are discussions right now at the state level of giving districts a 2-year waiver in order to delay the start of this. And if that's the case, having an electrification study showing the fact that we are doing our due diligence, we're doing things thoughtfully, very well may help us. There are no guarantees. I don't have any guarantees at this point. I'm sorry.
So Mr. Allen, I'm going to jump in and I'm going to help out a little bit. So obviously, I've been talking over the last several years about advocacy, and I've been one of the lead superintendents, certainly in the county, working with my colleagues to advocate for pushing this timeline back by several years. To date, the law is still in place, and we don't know if we're going to get the movement we need in this legislative session. And if they don't adjust the law, and if districts don't get waivers, then in next year's budget development, we're going to start looking at budgeting and figuring out electric buses and the infrastructure component. Now, we're waiting any day now for the state to open up a portal that will allow districts to request a 2-year waiver. So then 27 gets pushed to 29. And then there is a second 2-year waiver. We may not need this study to get granted the first waiver. We may not. But the problem right now is we're unique because we operate a massive, I like the word robust, by the way.
I know you
We
do.
operate a massive, robust size fleet. And it's not just about buying electric buses. It's about changing the entire landscape of our bus yard to be able to have the charging stations and the fire suppression, which right now is basically cinder blocks between every couple of buses. All right, and then you got to look at the space utilization piece. Now, this is not the clearest thing in the world.
No.
To going from a scope of work, and over the last several months and several weeks, we understand that through our architects, which is Grillo and their engineers, they were able to put a scope of work together that's being billed through our architectural billing, about $23,000 and change. And now we're at the point where we can move forward with a study, but and it was originally on for tonight's agenda for approval, but we just got legal guidance several hours ago prior to the meeting that we're told that the study actually has to go out to bid. So, we have one number now of 38,500 and change. What Mr. Allen has learned is that a lot of districts actually, and Mr. Hauser as well, reaching out to business officials, have started either to get a scope of work done, which again is the architect and engineer, and some have actually gone out to do the study. Most of the districts you've looked at have a much smaller fleet
tremendously.
compared to us.
The largest fleet of that I've spoken to of several districts is 49 routes with 56 total buses, 7 being spares. So
There were 120 buses, roughly.
Yep, correct.
So even when we go out to bid, the number could come back very similar to what was quoted with the 38,500 and change. So we could certainly, and we have to certainly wait to move on with the study. We do at least have the scope that was prepared by the architect and the engineer, which should help us with this first waiver any day now. And then, we could certainly see if we're going to need a study to get this waiver approved. And then if we do, then I'm going to recommend to the board that we go out for bid and see what kind of quotes we get for a study. Meanwhile, the advocacy efforts with myself, fellow superintendents, continues. We have been sitting with elected officials, state level elected officials, and we're trying to keep the politics out of this because this can be certainly something that can become, partisan. We don't care about the politics, and we're all about clean energy, but we also need something that's real and affordable. These buses tend to be 3 times the cost. Yes, sometimes there are rebates and some grants that can reduce it, but it's still a tremendous burden. For a fleet our size and for our yard to get the infrastructure work done, to purchase these buses, to put cinder blocks between every several buses in order to prevent a massive fire, you're looking at tens of millions of dollars on our general budget. And so this is a multifaceted approach, advocacy, but also preparation in case things don't change, we're not caught off guard.
So now, this study then, because this is what I have that
Yep.
we were given, so it may not be necessarily this organization, but I did notice some of the things that they have in here, which I think is super important because, just alone the fact that we have to worry about them going on fire is insane to me that we're going to put kids on these buses. But the infrastructure, the studies to determine how far apart the buses have to be parked, if we need another location to put them, and even the study on temperature. I saw in here they have to study of how it is in cold weather versus warm weather, and it's over the top to me. But whatever we go with, now that I'm learning that we would be going out to bid, is the study going to be the same? Are they going to be studying? I see they even incorporate the fire department into the study, all sorts of organizations. I want to make sure that it really cover whatever study we do. If we go this route, it'll cover all of that.
Well, I think, and correct me, Dr. Centimore, if I'm getting this incorrect. Now that we have a scope of work that's been developed and designed, I think that's going to be our baseline and our template if we're going to do an RFP, as we do an RFP. That way we can get apples to apples and we can ensure that we get the information that we need for our fleet and our location as it sits within the community.
So I just want to thank you guys for being so knowledgeable. John, Dr. C, and Melissa, thank you so much for doing the homework and educating us on the, what we can get in the future down the road. Hearing everything makes me feel better about spending the money. When you first hear it, you're not sure, but then you hear all the reasons why we need to do it, and it makes it, it's a must-have, not a, want.
The level of detail is, I think, beyond our capacity. And I think considering the nature of this, we really need a third party who's not biased to anything else. They're going to look at it as objectively as possible. And I think that's the only way to get something that's going to be functional and appropriate for the district.
I appreciate it.
So I just had one question. This company that you're talking about coming in, there aren't that many districts that own their own busing. They deal with all of them?
They deal with quite a few. So I reached out to them. This only
How
came
many?
up. They sent me a list. I can pull it up and I can forward it.
Give me a roundabout.
I think they said they're in communications either with the scope of work, working on the actual study, or study complete with 30 districts on the island.
Okay.
So.
And the ones that own their own.
And I'm going to
because
apologize.
I don't think that there are 30 districts that own their own busing unit.
I got to apologize first of all. I misspoke. Not Nelson and Pope. They're not in 30 districts. There's another vendor that we came across the name of in the last 24 hours called Wendell.
Mm-hmm.
They're in many more districts, which is why we're also looking at an RFP and everything else. Your point, You're right. There's not a lot of districts that do this, but I can tell you, my wife's district, Bayport, who didn't offer transportation at all, they have 12 buses that they do special ed for. So they may not have the same size fleet, but they certainly have the same challenges. Otherwise, they're going to be subbing all of their routes if they can't do it themselves.
It's actually kind of apples and oranges because they do sub most of their routes. I understand what you're saying
You're
about
right.
this special ed, but
You're right.
very specific to our district is we own our own unit. Okay, it's ours.
Yep.
And I'm wondering, whatever company, obviously, I want to know how many they're doing with that because that's a challenge unto itself.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
I
we
do.
house our
I do.
buses. We have all of these buses. You see what I mean?
100%. I mean, we definitely need to steer it and customize it to what we have.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see what we have changing. We're still going to be doing our routes. We just got to figure out how to do it moving forward.
Right. My point is, I think it's a great idea, but we need to know that they.
And
You
we've
see what I mean?
had multiple groups of people. Every time this conversation comes up, we bring them to the district. We have them walk our yard. We have them, you know, they're going to get into the route information. They're going to have to get into the weeds in order to understand the way ConnectQuad does transportation. And this, you know, it's a biggie.
So that's my question. Do they have? Do you know what I mean? Like,
I don't know if they have another district with 120 buses. I don't know how many
own
districts.
their own unit, own their own buses.
And I don't know how many on the
I
island
saw
have
one of
that
the
many.
districts that you listed has about 60 buses.
Okay.
So they're about half, which is that's still a pretty good size. We're massive size. Well, you know,
Yeah,
we're
and
very
I
big.
don't know. I honestly don't know how many have this larger fleet as we do.
My only point is, we have to find that out because it's more than pertinent to this
Without a doubt.
scenario in this situation.
I don't think it's completely scalable. Like if you have somebody who's 50%, it's going to just automatically say you double it. I think it's going to be exponential. I think the power demands, I think the programming,
Right.
I think the complexity is
I don't
going
think
to
it
be.
can't be done. That's not what I'm saying.
It has
I'm
to
just
be
saying,
done.
right. What I'm saying is, the company's got to.
Yeah, they got to back
Yeah.
it. They got to be able to back it. 100%. I appreciate that. Absolutely.
So, you know, this, I don't know, you know, if anybody can really answer this kind of a question or if this is part of it, but say we had to go the route of, and I know we're not there yet, of actually building another yard somewhere else. First of all, where our district is, I don't know how many, you know, whatever, square miles, whatever it is, but what about the residents that live there? Do they really want to live near? Yeah, I mean, I know we have it here on Ocean Avenue, it's right here, but
To that point, to this date, we've been telling the architect and the engineering firm, that's a non-negotiable. Like they want to look at other places. And if we need to, I mean, we may not have a choice, but at this point, as a starting point, this is where the transportation yard resides. This is what we're looking at developing and improving upon in order to move forward. We're not looking at any other locations. There are no guarantees with this. This is Pandora's box at its best.
My only question is, if we were to move forward with this study, when would you need to start it?
Well, the study itself, as we've been told, is a lengthy process, six to 8 months to develop a full scope of work and everything else. So if what Dr. Sinamore is learning from his colleagues that it may not impact the 2-year waiver, I guess we have a little bit more time, so we have a chance to do it thoughtfully and make sure we get the right vendor for the project and everything else, and we go through the right steps. Once we go through an RFP process, an RFP comes to the board for approval regardless. So it'll be a sequence depending on how quickly we can do that through purchasing and everything else.
Now we could look to do an RFP now and add into the specs about we want a breakdown of the school districts that you're working with. We want to know the number of buses
That's
you know,
always, yep.
you know, so you know these are very good questions.
Yeah.
Because we don't have to award a bid. We could go out for bid and get the information. You know, because we don't know when this portal opens how specific it's going to be, and whether or not it's going to be very clear that you don't need a study or be in the process of a study. to be awarded this waiver. Getting awarded this waiver is absolutely critical. So if the board wanted to, we could put together a bid. That doesn't mean we have to award it.
And to that point, this is a professional service. We could take a look at the respondents, we could, interview them accordingly, and we can make a decision that doesn't necessarily tie to the dollars and cents. If there's one vendor who comes in cheap, but they've only done districts with 15 buses, that may not satisfy our requirements, and we can go elsewhere. So we do have some flexibility, the way I understand professional services.
And there's no timeline if you go for an RFP that you have to, there's no timeline with that you have to award it by a certain time?
Yeah.
But you could reject all the bids. Doesn't mean you're obligated to select one.
I would be okay with that.
Okay, so we'll work with purchasing, we'll develop a scope of work, we'll develop a RFP, and we'll start working on that piece next. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Allen.
What's that?
Miss Anatelli's cold, Mr. Allen. Is there any way it could?
I don't know what happened. I feel like the AC maybe popped on.
Is Mr. Ed allowed to raise a question about the presentation?
We have public comment coming up shortly.
Thanks.
Okay. On to Mr. Ibrahim. Do you have anything?
I don't have much. There's one thing I want to talk about though. I believe the last meeting was right before freshman awareness, correct? The last meeting was right before freshman awareness. Yeah, so I was there. I was a part of it. It went splendid as per usual. This was the first year that I was a part of it where it was not a sleepover, and it was great. Everything that made it special was still there, and it was really nice to see. We had a lot of community members, parents, teachers, coaches, just a bunch of people there helping out, and I could tell that for the freshmen it made a really big impact. So I just want to say thank you to everyone involved. It was amazing. Couldn't have gone better.
Awesome. Thank you. I will now open the floor for the first open public comment portion of the agenda. I will call individuals forward one at a time. Please wait for my acknowledgement before stepping up to the podium. I like reading my statement. You should have received a number card from security on your way in. If you have not, please see a security guard in the back of the room. Any person wishing to address the board shall address the board president. Comments should be kept as brief as possible and relate to school matters only. Each person will be limited to 3 minutes for one or more topics. Individual employees, parents, or children should not be identified by name, title, position, grade, or building. The use of foul language and threatening comments will not be tolerated, and the board will consider a recess until order is restored. In accordance with Policy 1230, public comment will not exceed 30 minutes. If there are additional persons wishing to speak, the board may consider a motion to extend the time. Number 1. Are you number 2? No, it was a different, that's okay. Yep.
This one? All good. So last year, this board canceled an intended author's visit to one of our elementary schools. The author was Renee Felice Smith. And the board looked into her.
You just move closer to the mic.
The board looked into her personal Facebook page and believed that her policies, personal ideology was a little too liberal for the school. So that visit was canceled to our elementary school. And really, that's a form of censorship. And I wanted to show you, this is the cover of the book. It's a children's book. It's delightful. It's very much like The Little Engine That Could. Gives you the same feeling when you read it. I read it to my grandson, and he absolutely loved it. So my concern is, from last month's board meeting, the New York Freedom to Read Act was called immoral. The point of the act is to prevent censorship and allow for diversity and prevent viewpoint discrimination on political ideology, which is exactly what happened with this cute little book and the author. The chief opposition to this bill is the radical right group Moms for Liberty. known for the promotion of censorship and anti-LGBTQ policies. Moms for Liberty has been the force for the banning of the following books nationwide: 1984, To Kill a Mockingbird, Of Mice and Men, The Great Gatsby, Fahrenheit 451, The Handmaid's Tale, and many more throughout our nation. Moms for Liberty is the most active pro-censorship group in this country. Moms for Liberty is against the New York Freedom to Read Act because it will prevent censorship, and Moms for Liberty wants censorship. The radical right Moms for Liberty has been designated as a hate group. Hate groups are immoral. Moms for our Connecticut Board of Education should not be supporting the political censorship goals of the radical right hate group Moms for Liberty. The author of the adorable book, Hugo and the Impossible Thing, was banned from our schools. What other books will be on the censorship agenda if our board doesn't follow the Freedom to Read Act? Thank you.
Thank you. I do believe the author that you're referring to was for our literacy night, that she didn't come. I know that many of us were a no for it, but based on the cost of how much she was to come to our school. So we were looking for a more cost-effective. Yeah, well, for me, I was looking for a cost-effective. We had free authors that were willing to come, and I believe this one was pricey. Is there a number 3?
I just want to ask really quick, we didn't ban the book though, correct, from the district perspective?
No, the book was.
I thought you said it was good. Okay.
Go ahead.
I would like to discuss what Mr. Allen was talking about this evening. First of all, I make the assumption we're going to stay in the bus business. One. Okay. Because the people in this area have always wanted our drivers to drive our buses. 2. This area is very low on electric power. When Sycamore Avenue needed additional power for work being done over there, didn't exist on Sycamore Avenue. They had to go all the way up to Ocean and bring line from Ocean to Sycamore. We're very low on electric power. We run in this area during the summer very low in voltage, which is not good for equipment. And now we're talking about 120, eventually 120, 125 electric vehicles. Every vehicle has to be plugged in when it comes back from its run. That's one problem. Problem 2, I don't think we could store 125 electric vehicles here. Code requires a firewall between every 2. And I was in Nassau last week, and I saw an electric bus. It wasn't an electric school bus, it was for public transportation. And they looked a little bit longer than our school buses and a little wider. So we're going to need a lot of room here and firewalls to store them. I have one idea which possibly we can do before we even get involved. The Bohemia Historical Society, they got their land from the town for no charge at all. Possibly we should really start looking for an area to keep our buses other than where we keep them now. We may be able to keep some here and someplace else. If maybe we can approach LG Carpenter about getting us another piece of property someplace where we can store buses. Because eventually we're going to go electric. In 2026, we can still buy gasoline or diesel vehicles. But 2027, I buy anything except electric. And they're expensive, and there goes our budget. I mean, I think the average school bus now, if it was brand new, runs about 150,000. And I think the electric buses, you're talking about 450,000 for an electric bus. The only advantage of the electric bus, they have little or no maintenance. The only maintenance on the electric bus is tires and brakes. They do have a small 12-volt battery to power the running lights and directionals. Mostly the electric buses underneath is all battery, but you can't put those fires out. All you can do when you have an electric bus fire, and I hope we never do, is watch it burn until it runs out of fuel. And that's the reason for the firewall between every two. I don't know why they want to sacrifice one bus. If you lose one bus, you're going to burn down the bus next to it. So it doesn't make sense at all. I'm glad we're looking at for a study now. I think that's fantastic. But I think we should look for another piece of property from the town of Islip where we can store vehicles, because eventually it's going to be electric. They have no choice. I hope it gets pushed ahead. But even if we gain 2 years here and 2 years there, eventually we're going to be all electric.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Further proof we need a study. Number 4.
Hello, long time no see. So I have a couple of questions. So I am not educated on the governor's mandate. So for the electric buses, is it full electric buses or can they be like a hybrid vehicle?
I'm going to let you finish your public comment and then we'll circle back to your questions.
And then another question I had is there a plan or an idea of possibly renting the buses to offshoot some of the prices? Because if the buses are like tripling in price, I definitely feel like if there's a need for them, that could definitely bring in some revenue. And then the other question was the $1.9 million that came from the solar panels, is that like contingent or is that a one-time check given? So those are my 3 questions.
Wow, great questions.
I'm educated at college, guys.
I'll have Mr. Hauser. Not Mr. Hauser, but Dr. Centimore help with some of those questions.
So I'll try to work backwards. The 1.9 is a one-time revenue. It's not a reoccurring revenue, which would be wonderful.
Yes.
It's a one-time, but it's definitely very helpful. It's a significant amount of money. We just had the external auditor come and talk about the closing of the books, and so what Mr. Hauser was referencing is that when this current school year, 25-26, when these financial books get closed, and you look at the money in, the money out, this will be very helpful to secure what's called fund balance, because what school districts like Connecticut does is, because state aid is only a certain amount and taxation is only a certain amount, you tend to apply some of the savings.
Yeah.
But then when those fiscal books close, you want to recoup as much as possible. It's like having that little piggy bank.
Yeah,
if you
you
keep borrowing from the piggy bank, but you don't put anything back
you'll
in,
have
what's going to
nothing
happen with that piggy bank eventually? In terms of, you don't necessarily have to purchase every bus or buses. You could do what's called leases, which you might be familiar with cars. So you could definitely do like a lease agreement. And with the hybrid piece, Mr. Allen, I don't know if you could speak to that at all. I don't think you're allowed to use any of the fossil fuel.
Propane is also allowed.
Right, propane.
But, because the emissions is all water. So, but we don't have a propane line in this area.
But I don't think it could be 100% propane. I think it would. Is it a hybrid electric propane?
I'm not 100%.
Okay, but the fossil fuel piece
Regardless, we
itself,
don't have
right?
a propane pipeline here.
Right.
So it's more so that there shouldn't be any carbon emissions from any of the transportation vehicles we have. More so that they're trying to regulate, not necessarily like what. Is it more so that we can't have like gas or diesel products? More so that
Zero
it
emission.
has zero emission. More okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you. Great questions.
This is the time for us to start knocking on the door of foundation grants.
Yes, we are looking into grants. Free money is always welcome. We love free money. All right. Can I please have a motion and a second to waive the first reading and approve the second reading for immediate adoption of policy 5900, student changing area, policy 9620 and 9620-E.1, child abuse in education setting, and policy 4321.12, 4321.12-R, 4321.12-E, timeout and physical restraint.
Motion. Second.
Any questions on any of those policies? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Can I please have a motion and a second to approve the treasurer's report for October 2025, the cash flow report, the trial balance reports, the appropriation report, and the revenue status report from July 1st through October 31st?
Motion. Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Can I please have a motion and a second to approve the instructional and non-instructional personnel items as presented?
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sorry.
We were approving the personnel?
Oh, okay. That's the exception? That's it.
Nope, that's, so I just need to know your vote on the personnel.
I said aye.
Oh, okay. No, that's okay. Can I please call for a motion and a second to approve items 2 through 6 and 9 and 10 from the consent agenda?
Motion. Second.
Any questions on those items? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Can I please call for a motion and a second to approve item number 7, property tax law resolution 467 from the consent agenda?
Motion. Second.
Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Can I please have a motion and a second to approve item number 8, property tax law resolution 459-C?
Motion. Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Superintendent's update, Dr. Centimore.
Well, thank you, Ms. Mallon. So to start my update, a little bit of a highlight of one of our partnerships. We're partnered with something called Barcode Long Island, and this is a collaboration that can involve Stony Brook University, Brookhaven National Lab, American Museum of Natural History, just to name a few. Barcode Long Island is a high school student-driven science program run with those aforementioned organizations, especially like Cold Spring Harbor Lab, that uses DNA barcoding to study and document biodiversity on Long Island, allowing students to conduct real research, to identify species, and to contribute to scientific databases on local ecosystems, pollution, and climate change impacts. So what we have students in grades 9 through 12 who will research genetic biodiversity on Long Island and its surrounding waters. We also are involved with the Suffolk County Vector Control. That's a part of the Suffolk County Department of Public Works, where students participate in disease research on ticks gathered by Suffolk County Department of Health employees and on mosquitoes gathered using Suffolk County's light traps for microbiome and in collaboration with the aforementioned Barcode Long Island projects. So we try to, from time to time, highlight and bring notice to some of the great partnerships and opportunities that we have for our students. So in terms of general news, the spirit of the holiday season can be felt throughout the district. December has been a fabulous month for our elementary and secondary performing arts programs, as our district's bands, orchestras, and choirs have spread holiday joy and excitement throughout the winter concert season. Congratulations to all Connecticut's talented student musicians and their directors. There have also been and continues to be school and community-based holiday activities such as tree lighting ceremonies, holiday book readings, winter wonderlands, especially with our PTAs, and other special events. Congratulations to the boys varsity volleyball team, who as the Suffolk County champion competed in the New York State tournament in Rochester, and they were New York State semi-finalists, which I believe was the deepest run for the boys volleyball program. Obviously, our girls team also were county champs, and we had a lot of teams as league champs and make the playoffs. It was a great fall season, and we're now into our winter season. Connect Co-op will certainly hit the ground running in early 2026 with the high school 9th grade curriculum fair, more showcases of our performing arts with our middle school musicals of Frozen Junior at RMS and Shrek Junior at OBMS, as well as our secondary jazz benefit concert. As always, thank you to Orba for our music and art boosters, PTA, SEPTA, athletic boosters, all the civics associations, and Rotary for all that you do for our students, staff, and community. Wishing everyone a most joyous holiday season. Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, happy and healthy New Year. Thank you.
Thank you. Feel like we just clapped after the plane landed. Committee reports, wellness and nutrition, Ms. DiLorenzo, Ms. Parisi.
I think this is one that I went to. Yeah. Yes, and it was about a month ago, so, but we did talk about the Chef Days, which are coming up, which, thank you for the clarification. I was very confused on the times, but thank you for that, that the Chef Days are coming up, and I think it's, what is it, Sycamore, John Pearl, and I don't know. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so we talked about that, and of course, the big topic, food in the garbage. We don't want to see that happen, and to try to come up with ways to not have that happen. It's very hard because we are very, very limited by New York State guidelines and laws. But it's a challenge because not you don't want to waste the food, and that is another problem is that you can't save the food. Some people were saying, what if if somebody doesn't want the apple, put it aside, but you can, because once it's theirs, to try to come up with ways, which we didn't come up with anything yet, but what to do with that food so it's not discarded and just thrown in the trash, the stuff that they don't want. And it's hard because they are supposed to have a certain amount of fruit, a vegetable, but not all the kids want that. So and there's some kids that may want more of it, but there's no sharing, nothing like that.
That's been such an item of contention for me because I hate food waste.
Yes, I'm with you.
And I understand that some kids don't want the peas, they don't want the carrots, who doesn't want the peaches, but they have to get them by law, which is crazy, and then they just throw them out.
I know, it's very frustrating.
You ask the kids, the food sucks. It's that bad. Okay? That's why it's being thrown out. Not necessarily because it's a vegetable or a thing. It's terrible.
So that's basically a lot of what we talked about is to try to make it taste better. Because that is a thing. I mean, I know there's certain things that my kids don't want to get. Some things they're okay with, but, it's hard. It's a challenge because we are, it's not like when I went to school, you can get grilled cheese, and it was like grilled cheese at home. It's very different now. So it's a challenge, but, this is what we talked about.
Thank you. The policy committee, Ms. Iannatelli, Ms. Torregrossa, I feel like we voted. Did we just vote on it? Yeah. Mental Health Advisory Committee, Ms. DiLorenzo?
So I had that also recently, and we talked a lot about the chapter, reading The Anxious Generation, and just what students are going through right now, and the big consensus that I see in multiple committees is that a lot of times they feel that the kids want to hear from other kids, which is why we have this LICAV student ambassador training cohort. There are 24 high school students that are doing this. They're going to, I guess, turnkey into the middle schools. They're going to kind of bring it down to try to, reach the younger students, because a lot of issues too happen, when they're younger, and that's when we want to try to help the kids before they get to the high school level, before anything festers. So, we talked about that. Of course, we have the Random Acts of Kindness Week coming up in February, P.S. I Love You Day, Mental Health Matters Day on March 11th, and the EASL monthly theme for December is citizenship. And we talked about the pamphlet distribution. Of course, we have this too, which I believe this is also in our library, just resources, and trying to figure out ways to perhaps have this available. I think we talked about putting it, I think that's somebody say put it in the agenda that the kids get. I think we did mention that to try to, because it has all of the staff names and just resources, things that maybe students won't want to actually go and ask for. The only issue is with, like, the high school, they don't get an agenda, they have to want it. Whereas the,
Can you put it on their Google Classroom?
I think it is there. That's, and what did they say? Because I had asked about that. Did they mention that it was in the Google Classroom? I think Ms. Necken said that she was going to put it there.
Yes, yes.
Yes. Yes, so that they have access, because there are students that may not want to reach out to Islip Goes Purple or Family Service League, that not reach out to them. They want to reach out to them, but they don't ask somebody in the building for it. It's at least there at their fingertips if they want any of this information. So.
When you say it's going to be inside, can you just use the mic just for the people at home? When you say it's going to be inside the agenda, printed or like just stuffed in?
No, they're going to print it. They're going to print the information on one of the pages on at the beginning of the
because I was going to
agenda.
say that
no,
they
they're
could
not
lose
stuffing
it.
in.
What? Okay.
No. The buildings each said that they have the ability to put what they want in the agenda so that they can add that in.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. The curriculum committee, that's myself and Miss Inatelli. Do you want to go? Do you want me to go?
You can go, because I left early and I was add in.
Okay. So we just discussed the Portrait of a Graduate, which is coming down from New York State. We really focused on the personal finance that's going to be mandated in the grades. So, and how that would look, and that's actually really all we discussed.
Says that all, but I do have to say, Christina, that we, as a committee, we broke into groups. We discussed each one of the topics of the Portrait of a Graduate. Each sub-team, went through to come up with ideas and how it fits into our curriculum. So, it was a working session. It's actually, we miss you, Janice.
Oh no, it was an amazing, it's one of my favorite committees, Miss Puppy. All right, Board of Ed topics, Sequest, Miss Inatelli. Can't wait for this. I'm passionate about this.
Yeah, so recently a couple of parents contacted me about some concerns around the Sequest program. I want to let everybody know that I brought them to administration, and Christina Poppy and our director, Rob Cassane, immediately looked into the challenge. They identified some gaps and rectified the situation. They are now looking into new ways to improve the program even more to give the students who participate the full value of the experience. I just want to thank them both personally and let them know that, we really appreciate that the community members came to us and that you guys, immediately acted on it and looked into the, the challenge at hand. I just want the community to always know that, all of us, you can always come to any of us with any challenge that you think needs to go to the next level, and we are here to support you.
I'm just going to add to the Sequest because I'm not the biggest fan of how it's structured. I know it was reimagined after COVID. I just don't think that the experience is the same for these new students. I liked when my child participated, where the different schools came together, they got to meet other kids, they got to interact and have different experiences. I just think that the way it's structured now, it doesn't give the full experience. It doesn't give the same opportunity, in my opinion, anyway. And I don't know, I just feel like more students should and could be involved in this program.
This is actually the first time even hearing that there were parent concerns and things were changed. Maybe not now, but can somebody just share with the board, email us, what were those concerns? Because I had no idea that this was a thing, so maybe...
I didn't know the concerns. I know the restructuring of because that was
Right.
part of discussions that we had, but...
Yeah, I'm just curious as to what that was and how we're rectifying it, because I had no idea. So if you'd share that with us.
So it, more or less, it was about the amount of kids in the program. This is what I'll say, because my older ones did participate when it was come together as a group. And when you come together as a group, I actually felt more kids did not participate because you only took a certain amount per school that could fit into one school. Now that we have it in every school, they're actually able to get more kids into the program. The gap was that one of our elementary schools had tremendously less amount of enrollment than the other schools, that it wasn't noticed. So, but by noticing that gap, it also brought attention to the program to, like, Marisol just said, that you're not getting the full experience. And I agree with that after looking into it, that, you know, kids should have more of an experience like they did when it was a once a week, full day, everybody, you know, participating. It wasn't only a few hours a day and things like that. And that's why, you know, I don't have any more answers. And I know that Christina Poppy and Rob Cassane are looking into it. And I think that's going to be more to come.
Sure, if I might chime in, the actual components of the program weren't necessarily what was the initial issue or request for investigation. Upon reimagining Sequest, when it came back into existence after COVID, we looked at the former structure of the program and hosted some committee work in order to consider how best to move forward, right? So it was the work of a committee with feedback and input provided over time to help structure what we now have as our Sequest program. That also included some of the requirements to participate in the program itself. And so it was really completely reimagined, from student entry to participation to location or venue to structure. And so over the course of the last few years, we've made some pivots, right? We've sharpened some components of the program as we've had this experience where we're pushing into every single one of our schools. And our Sequest teacher is working on a rotational schedule around the district. By no means is this the final iteration of Sequest. I think that there's a commitment to ensuring that our kids are receiving the best experience possible, given the parameters that we're working with, and we'll continue to have discussions about how adjustments could be made, pivots could continue to be made in terms of how we're offering the program, what we're featuring within the program, and of course, encouraging student participation within.
Ms. Poppy, I don't know if you know the answer to this question, do you know how field trips work now on Sequest?
So Sequest started to introduce some field trips, I think in the second year post-COVID that we implemented the program. And so we have been sending kids, depending on their grade level and depending on the building structure. We do have a combined program in some of our smaller buildings, especially where 4th and 5th grade students participate together, sending them to the Fire Island Lighthouse. We're sending them to Commerce Park in Nassau County for a personal finance experience. And there are more opportunities, again, to be imagined as we're growing the program. We do have a commitment annually to curriculum writing within Sequest so that we can negotiate some of the interest level that our students are demonstrating and the experiences that they've already had, looking at what else is available out there for them and would be an enhancement for them relative to the curricular experiences that they're having.
So when you say combining grades or buildings or both?
Combining grades
So
within a building, 4th and 5th,
goes
correct.
by, okay.
That was one of the things that came up, that I personally did not know we weren't combining anymore. And I feel that there is definitely, should be combined, and we should have more time during this visit for Sequest. I also felt that the trips, unfortunately, I didn't feel that they were robust. And that compared to what my children who got to go to the city and do other things, that the Lighthouse, you know, I just didn't feel, as you know, that these were the best. And I'm glad that you're looking into it now, because again, you know, we reimagine, things happen, you know, we all look things and no one realizes that these gaps are here. So now that we do, it gives us the opportunity to improve.
That was 100% my least favorite part of this reimagination, was the lack of combining of the schools and the students getting to meet other kids in other buildings and interacting and having that relationship with the other students. I just strongly dislike the fact that it is not combined.
Yeah, and I will everyone was like, my kid did it. I was in, it was called something different. It wasn't Sequest at the time, but we all gifted and talented, and we all went to Basti at the time. And I think it was invaluable to, like, I went to John Pearl for elementary, so like it was a small school to begin with. So going to Basti to be with the other schools, like I was consistently exposed to the same people every day at John Pearl because there was like 1 or 2 sections like per class. It was so helpful just to meet. And then going into middle school, I already knew people going in, and I was nervous about honors classes and this, and it was a lot of the same people that I had already developed some, relationship with. It was really made an impact. Marisol can tell you when we were at the conference. When we were at the conference, there was a program there that had a table in the exhibition hall that we also had as part of Gifted and Talented back when I was in it. And I was like, oh my God, I was obsessed with this. I did it when I was in like 4th grade. And then I ended up like filming a testimonial video for them. It was like a weird thing. Nonetheless, it made that much of an impact, the program at that time. Like I used to love going there for it. So I hope that it can kind of come full circle. And I think we did go to the city.
Yes.
Because the program was a stock market game. And I do believe that we went into the city and saw a little bit more like real time. So.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree. I think that's actually going within your own building just to another classroom, I don't think it gives enough distinction to the program itself. I think going to another building really does put the emphasis on this is a program, and it's a special program. So I agree with all of that. I think that out of everything that we do with it, I think that's something we should work on trying to bring back, is finding some way to combine these students, because I say it all the time. I think bringing people together is one of the best things, mental health, academic, all of that. I love to see children working together in a group, face to face, no screen. I mean, I do this at work when I visit all the 3rd grade classes. I talk to them about Makerspace, and then they work in groups of 4 or 5, whatever it might be. And I encourage them to work together, whatever, if they're doing something with patterns, Lincoln Logs, build together, work with your friends, because I just think it's important, that collaboration between the kids. And it makes it real special when they visit another school. So I agree. I think if we do anything, let's try to bring that component back.
So in defense of our administration, this is what I will say. When they reimagined, if we have 15 to 20, depending on the school, kids in the program, you wouldn't be able to have that, because if you just did 15 across 7, that's 105 kids at one school. Now, my kids did do the one school at Basti, and I definitely agree with everything everybody said, but we would have to limit it to less students then. We wouldn't have that many students be able to participate if it was 100.
That's not necessarily true. So you're saying
We only have one teacher.
I understand, but you're saying 15 per, like, let's say Cherokee has 15 because they're the larger school, right? So you're saying 15 between 4th and 5th grade? Like 15 total, or 15 in 4th and 15 in 5th?
No, between 4th and 5th grade, each one of our schools, besides one, has 14, 15, 18 right now.
Okay, so then you have one day dedicated to the 4th graders, and you have one day dedicated to the 5th graders. That cuts the number in half right there.
Would we need more than one teacher for 50 students? Over 50.
If I may, these are very sort of complex structural pieces that I don't think that we'll be able to sort out at the table. And I would like to leave the board with just the consideration that the reimagination and Sequest in its current state was because of feedback that was provided on committee, right? So it wasn't a unilateral decision in terms of how it looks, how we're offering it. We did garner quite generous amounts of feedback from the larger community. And I'd have to go back and take a look at my notes to see, because it was a number of years ago, to see kind of where that conversation came from and the feedback that originated the current implementation of Sequest. But I do want to reassure everybody that it was imagined this way because there was input as to why this might be a better model. But again, it's not set in stone. we can look to pivot, we can look to make adjustments, and all of that work is certainly intricate, and we have to consider how we can best accommodate all 7 of our elementary schools in doing so.
So we safe to, go ahead.
No, I was gonna
Are we
move
safe
on.
to say that we could have an update in the spring sometime on this?
Absolutely.
Thank you. The iGEM program, Ms. Inatelli.
Or did you? But who's hitting the button? So about 2 weeks ago, I was watching 60 Minutes. Yes, 60 Minutes, and they had a portion of it about the iGEM program. The iGEM program is a global program through many, many different countries who come together once a year for a competition. But the high school students actually apply in the high school to be part of this program because it only can take a certain amount per group. And it focuses on synthetic biology. The group, right now it's only in Georgia, but I would love to see, and I've asked administration to look into seeing how, if we could get a program at our school. The students right now that went for the competition from Georgia created a test that can detect Lyme disease in less than 2 days after contracting it, which was huge. So they actually come up with a study, they come up with the software, they come up with every aspect of the test. I mean, they had litmus paper, everything, you know. And this year they went to Paris to compete against all the different countries. And it's just watching this program, they had many different places donated, centrifuge, all these other equipment that they'd need in the biology classes. It just was an amazing, amazing opportunity for high school students. As Dr. Centimore pointed out, that many of our students were already involved in these types of things through that Barcode Long Island and the other one that you spoke about, the project, that why not have something that's world-renowned and, that we could stand out amongst, because no Long Island school has it right now. No New York school has it right now. So I definitely would love for us to look into it and get some feedback, from our science chair and yourself. If you have anything to add, I just wanted to bring it to our attention.
Great, thank you. I do have just a touch to add. I've been communicating with Mrs. Burns, who's our Director of Science, Family and Consumer Science and Technology Education, regarding iGEM. She's putting some feelers out. There is certainly an interest in pursuing such a prestigious program. There are some components that we would have to investigate how we could best offer these types of programs within Connecticut High School. Those include some fiscal considerations, some equipment type of considerations, as well as some spatial considerations for what's involved, but we are actively investigating all of the above.
I really appreciate that. And iGEM is a foundation, so there are grants, and they're trying to grow the program. So they do want to help schools fund, and they are willing to come to the schools and help, get the program moving and adjust. And, there's a lot of things in there. And I know it's new to the United States, and like I said, it's only offered in Georgia right now. But it'd be great to see that somewhere down the road at Connecticut.
Senior expenses, Ms. Inatelli.
So many parents, the last few years and even this year, have had complaints about the senior expenses, especially at this time of year. As we know, many families struggle, and even if you're not, it's holiday time. You're spending a lot more money than you usually do. And the cap and gown was a week ago. You had to pay for your cap and gown and any extras. And it's been that way for the last couple of years. As a parent of a senior, I went to administration and brought these concerns from myself and other parents. And they were very open, willing to hear everything. And they have decided that in the 2026-2027 year, the cap and gown will not go on sale until after the new year, so that no family has to incur the cost during the holiday season. So I was very thankful for that, and I wanted to make that announcement so everybody knew that, their concerns, they were listened to and taken care
of. District updates, Ms. Inatelli.
So, this is my standing one that we do district updates. I really don't talk about the concerts and things like that. You know, I know Dr. Centimore does, so I just really leave it to the items that people don't hear about. So every month so far, the work-based learning program is a highlight, and I'm trying to find more information out about the work-based program because I want to be able to share with the community how your child can participate in it. But we did have 2 high school students honored through the Suffolk County Department of Labor for their participation with the work-based program. Both students worked full-time over the summer, and the employer actually kept them now through the school year as part-time while they're in school, which is amazing. This program really is giving kids opportunity to find jobs, make an income, learn the real world. Miss Michelle Rapone, who runs the program, she sets up programs where they can go visit, see all these things. I really am so impressed on how she's grown this program and how much that we're offering the students. And I really want every parent to know this is available for their kids, just because of the fact that, like I said, it's a newer program at Connecticut, even though it is a few years, but it's just growing unbelievably, and she's doing such a great job that I hope every student takes advantage of the opportunity. I also would like to give a shout out to Mr. Leonard, one of our high school physical education teachers. First, I'd like to say we have so many amazing teachers in our district, and so I feel bad sometimes when I highlight one, but I feel you got to give these positives out there. I constantly hear that, you know, he has always been so caring and inclusive to all. His positivity and encouragement is noticed by many of the students. So I just want to give him a shout out for being such an amazing teacher. Thank you.
I just want to add to Ms. Rapone and the amazing job she does with the work-study program. So she really puts her all into this program with the students, and like you said, I hope a lot of students take advantage of it. But the quality about her too is that she gives her number to everybody, and she will help you post-graduation. So she has so many connections, and if you reach out to her and like, oh, I'm looking for a job, she will help you find a summer job or an internship, whatever. She is just that amazing.
I just backpedal for a second, caps and gowns. Do we, and this is an honest question, we might have it, do we have a system in place where if somebody wants to like donate their cap and gown back to the school after graduation, that they can do so that maybe, because like in this economy, before, during, and after the holidays, some people just cannot afford it. So do we have something in place that people who are just like, oh, this is going to sit in my attic for the rest of my life and can donate it back?
I don't have any information about that, but I can ask and find out.
So I actually asked this question because 3 years ago, a friend of mine wanted to donate hers because her last child graduated. And I was told that caps and gowns could be donated to People Personnel Office and that they will have them available for any student that would need them. I do not know if they take prom.
They do.
They do, right? I thought they did. And I think they take suits and tuxes also. So that was all of April's. I'm just going to add one real quick. I just want to discuss board goals. So the board has been discussing board goals and trying to establish board goals. There will be a special meeting for board goals on January 20th, where we hope community members, staff, students will come out and we can have a collaborative discussion about board goals. There will be questions that will be sent home and put on our district website and Google Docs and Google Classrooms and Parent Square. So we are looking for your feedback. We are looking to have everybody participate and be a part of this process. Does anybody have any other board topics? Okay. Does anybody else want to speak? All right. So yep, you're still number one, sir. So I'm just going to remind you of the comments I made before about what can or cannot address, and I will let you speak. Thank you, April. But I do like saying my statement.
I told Marisol, please don't repeat this. So
come on.
Hear it again.
Sir,
okay to
the
go?
floor is yours, yes?
Okay. First, I'd like to thank the entire board. After attending these meetings over the last 6 months, I have a full appreciation for everything you folks do. From the beginning, my experience with everyone was so positive. I originally cornered Dr. Centimore after a civic meeting about the program. He took my contact information. The next day, Bob Hauser called me. I must say, Bob, it's been a pleasure working with you on this program. Then I reached out to the board members. Each one of you made the time to hear me out regarding the program and the details that needed to be addressed. Your time, your understanding, your sincerity was extremely appreciated. I can't thank you all enough. And a special thanks goes to Ann and Adam at the Town Assessor's Office for my numerous meetings and answering all my questions. I was driven on making sure that anything I put into those green books was accurate, and I visited them a lot of times. Let's summarize what we accomplished tonight. We were able to lend a huge helping hand to 337 households in our community that are in need. That's amazing. 1 year from now, these 337 low-income seniors in disabled homes are going to receive their tax bills with a substantial reduction. This is going to make a world of difference in their lives. For most, this will be a total surprise. We should leave here tonight with big smiles on our faces, knowing today we made a difference. I have one more request. Please help me get the word out on this important program. You all have my contact information. Feel free to give it to anybody that needs information about this program. I enjoy the privilege of being able to help others. Thank you, and Merry Christmas.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for educating us and teaching us and being so passionate about this program. Thank you. Can I please have a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Happy holidays.